I'm watching American Ninja Warrior. It's a great show. I love that show. I don't miss a week of it. It's amazing what these athletes can do. They train hard all year long. The men and the women, what they have to overcome. You usually end up watching the show that comes after. So Island, hosted by Grylls. I've seen his survival shows. I learned a few things. What I don't agree with is when you go and you have to kill animals just for the sake of a TV show. You can go, you can teach skills. We can see him go on his journey. We can learn all the amazing things that he does. He can talk about, how he would kill something. He can even trap something, let it go, which I wouldn't even agree with. But he doesn't have to chop up and eat it just for the camera. They could bring food with them. Understand, survival's not a pretty business. Okay, but that doesn't mean you can't explain how to survive, how to build a fire, even how to cut up an animal, but not actually do it. So what did they do with the island? They took these guys and they did little profiles on them. Can modern man, has he lost it? Has he lost his toughness? Can he go primal? Well, yeah, modern man can go primal. There are police officers who do amazing heroic things all the time. There are fire department people, there are firemen who do amazing things all the time. There are medical professionals, men and women in the military who do amazing things all of the time. So you don't need to take a group of guys and put them on an island where they're gonna get dehydrated. You're not providing them with any water, any shelter, any food, and then you wanna see what happens? Well, what's gonna happen is that they're gonna get sick. They're gonna get dehydrated. They're gonna get hungry. That's the premise of the show. That's the setup of the show. You can't just take people and put them on an island and destroy the environment and have them eat whatever the hell that they wanna eat. What if everybody did that? What if everyone said, hey, let's just go to these islands, eat whatever we find? The islands would be destroyed. Survivor, they do the same thing. That's why I stopped watching it. They eat the crabs that are there. They chop the snake and they cut it up and they ate it. That's a very delicate environment. That snake is important to that environment because it eats rats and small creatures that would probably overpopulate the island if it wasn't there. So the second thing that they find is they're out at the water hole and the guy turns, he's like, oh look, there's a pig. You can see it sitting there, it's a wild pig, enjoying itself in the sunshine. So they go and they jump down on the pig and they spear the pig and the thing's squealing, and then they cut to commercial. So obviously, the show is only about exploitation. You can hear the pig squealing just as they're cutting to commercial. You come back from commercial, they've got it, tied up or under control, and then they decide, who's going to kill it. But they say, "Oh, thank you, pig, for sacrificing your life for us." Well, that's a bit narcissistic because the pig did not sacrifice its life. It did not give its life. Its life was taken. And I don't even hold it so much against these guys because if this were more than 10 years ago, I may have done the same thing. I may have said, yeah, let's kill it. I'm going primal, just like with the rest of you. I was in a fraternity house, so I know I've done things that I wasn't proud of in the fraternity house, so I know what it's like when you get a group of guys together and there are things that you kind of don't want to do, but then you do anyway because the whole group is involved. But the thing is, we're starving. That's what they said. We're starving and we're hungry. You're hungry and you're starving because you went to an island with no food. So yeah, that's why you're hungry and that's why you're starving. It doesn't even take a man to kill a pig. They could have had, why weren't there women on the island? You could put 12-year-olds on that island. 12-year-olds could do the same thing. 12-year-olds could get dehydrated. 12-year-olds can all band together with some spears. 12-year-olds can take a knife and they can jump on a pig and they can attack it, as a group. Okay, that's not really manly to kill something. You want to kill something, go work in a slaughterhouse where they're killing all day long. I freaking hate this beard. When they've got a few days left on the show, they find a caiman. It's a crocodile. And they see it floating out in the water. And they're just hungry. I understand that they're hungry, but they wouldn't be hungry if they weren't on that island in the first place, without any food. They brought their cameras and they added in the shots of of underwater, like some underwater struggle and their feet in the water on the rocks. Okay, so obviously they exploited that whole thing for dramatic purposes. And speaking of exploitation, one of the guys who got dehydrated and needed to leave in the first couple days, he said he didn't want to be on camera. He didn't want his children to see him when he was in a distraught state of mind because of dehydration. Okay, dehydration is a very serious thing. Anyone can get dehydrated. You can be the toughest guy, the most muscular guy, whatever, the most in shape guy, and you can still get dehydrated. And I know what it's like to be dehydrated. They bring the alligator back. So they had this chance here to where the alligator's tied up, just listening to them debate over whether or not they're going to kill it and eat it. And its jaw is tied up and it's sitting in the middle of them. And the chief of police says that he judges people by how compassionate they are. You know, you're a man by how compassionate you are. They're sitting there and they're deciding whether or not they're going to eat. He tells his story of being a chief of police and things that he's had to do. In the beginning of the show, it's like, oh, we're a man if we can go and we can suffer on this island and we can kill stuff. And he's saying, well, you can do that. And actually, anyone can do that. Women can do that. You know, preteens can do that. Can go on an island, kill things. He doesn't think that they should eat it, which I thought was really cool. And the others basically vote him down. And he puts a knife on the skull and he pounds it. And pounds a knife into the skull of the caiman. And then, the music is playing like, oh, we did as humanely as possible. Well, you murdered that animal. That animal was put through stress. That animal sat there while you debated whether or not you should kill it. The amount of time that you're there is completely arbitrary. It could have said, you know what, let's not kill any more things on this island. This is just a little bit silly and let's just go home now. You don't really have to kill something to not take something for granted.